How you doing, everybody? I'm Matt Dinerman. It's Out of the Starting Gate with Matt Dinerman, sponsored by Oaklawn Park. We got a lot of good content for you this week. We're going to, of course, have an interview here in just a second with none other than Keith Asmussen. Then we'll go over stakes recaps, rising stars, even a horse from the Asmussen barn, coincidentally, that hasn't won a race yet, but you're going to want to keep an eye on. And then we'll have a little wrap-up talking about what's coming next when we get back to racing beginning Friday, January 30th. That'll be Southwest Stakes Week. Let's talk to our guest here for Out of the Starting Gate, Episode 4, Season 2. Keith Asmussen, of course, you know him very well if you're an Oaklawn follower, and you certainly know his family, the son of Steve Asmussen, the brother of Eric Asmussen, and both of them are already off to a hot start. We haven't seen Keith here at the meet just yet. He had a great Keeneland meet in October. I think he finished 6th in the standings. I was looking up the numbers. I think Irad, Tyler Gaffleone, and Jose Ortiz at 148 mounts. And you were 6th right behind them, and you only had 46 mounts. So you had a really good Keeneland meet. After that meeting at Churchill Downs, you suffered an injury. You had to take a couple months off. You are back here, Keith. You're getting on horses is what I'm hearing. What is the times table for you getting back to the races in the afternoon?
Yeah, just like you said, had an awesome Keeneland meet. I won 8 races, which before then I'd been going to Keeneland for past 3 years, 2 meets every year, and I think I'd only ever won 2 or 3 races. Yeah. So definitely an incredible meet for me.
Sure.
Suffered the spill in Churchill where I fractured the right side of my pelvis. Thankfully, it wasn't too serious of an injury, pretty streamlined recovery. 6 weeks, I got released to ride. It was like the 22nd, I believe. Spent Christmas with the family and then got here as soon as I could and started getting on horses.
How long have you been getting on horses?
A little under 2 weeks. Probably
Okay.
Started the 26th. Today's the 7th.
So you're incrementally getting back in shape.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, did all my physical therapy in Louisville. Couldn't be happier with how it went. And, plenty of exercise, got my cardio, everything. And then you get on horses and you realize you get a pretty good reality check of how fit you are. And so, I've really enjoyed being on horses, enjoyed the horses in my father's stable and being around the races. It's definitely been a lot of fun to be back here at Oaklawn.
And this is your life. This is your family's life, getting on horses, working with horses, which is a good segue to the next question, which is, this is a family affair for the Asmussen family. Not only do you work horses here, but I remember when I was interviewing your brother Eric, he said, after this interview, I got to drive to Louisiana Downs. I got horses to work. And so you can go to Texas, you can go to Louisiana, because your dad obviously has a very large string and different strings all over the country. And that also includes the training center with the newly turned 2-year-olds, breaking babies for your family. So you have ridden not just horses here at Oaklawn in the races, but also you've worked other horses that may work here, go to other places, or vice versa. My question to you on that is, what is the advantages to being able to work these different horses, work with your family, give the types of feedback that you do and work together in terms of just making sure that these horses get to the right races and do the best they can?
Absolutely. Without a doubt, I'm spoiled. Just like going back to Laredo for Christmas. Get to see the next generation, Jackie's Warriors epicenters.
Oh wow! Okay.
It couldn't be more exciting as far as the benefit of it. It's just an element of horsemanship that you always get to work on your craft. You're always around it, talking about it, involved. I don't like to think of myself as like an arrogant trainer's son, but I'm definitely opinionated, and I do feel like my input is valued and appreciated. As far as being able to get on horses, I think the greatest advantage of my father's stable is his scale and ability to, operate at so many different tracks to where you can compare horses and see where they will be competitive. And so, being able to always work on your craft at so many different jurisdictions just offers so many opportunities and practice.
It's pretty incredible, because you think of a guy like Bob Baffert, and he's really training to get higher end champions. Your dad, Steve, he's got just the widest variety of horses. He's got low-level claimers at B-level tracks, like a Sam Houston, for example, and then he's got the top of the top running in the Kentucky Derby, running in Breeders' Cups. Obviously, you've had a lot of success with him, as you mentioned, but one thing that people sometimes forget, and the stats, they can speak of exactly the story, and we saw last year you won 32 races here at Oaklawn. About 55% of them were for your dad. That means that 45% of those wins were for other trainers. So even though you're very close with your family, you ride a lot for your dad, and most of your horses that you ride are for your dad, you ride plenty of others for other people who employ you, and you have success. Have you become a better rider riding for other people? Because I would think, yeah, you learn from your dad, you learn from your family, but when you ride for different barns and outfits, you're probably going to take in different things that maybe they're doing a little bit differently.
Absolutely. And it's, I mean, the majority of the things you know about horses are from hands-on experiences. I mean, you can receive a million verbal lessons, and until you actually are applying them and working on your craft physically, like, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It is an immense source of pride to have success outside of my father's operation. It's a huge shout out to my longtime agent, Cody Caudill, who's worked with me for the past couple of years. You know, it's just, you say like half my races with other trainers, it's also stakes, like winning the Bugler on Lady Moscato for Lucas, and you know, the Arkansas Breeders' Championship on 110 Stadium for Moquette. I don't take any of those opportunities for granted. You know, a place like Oaklawn, where it is hyper competitive with big fields, I don't try to, you know, gloss over the idea of somebody's willing to name me on their horse, and I have immense respect for the connections that, you know, trust in my ability, and I don't take it lightly.
Obviously, you've had a lot of success here at Oaklawn, and you just mentioned Dwayne Lucas as somebody that has helped you, and you won some of the biggest races in your career for him. I mean, you won the Honeybee here with Lemon Muffin the first year I was here. You got to ride in the Derby and the Oaks for him, so that was obviously very special. Obviously, the Asmussens and the Lucases go back. You guys have a special connection in that regard. Wayne, of course, passed away this summer, but Oaklawn named a race in his honor, the Coach Overnight Stakes that we saw last week, and your dad won with Tap Into This. Tell us a little bit about that experience. How cool was that for you to be able to watch Tap Into This for the Asmussen family win the inaugural The Coach Overnight? Oh,
beyond sentimental. You know, Tap Into This winning the Coach wasn't appropriately named. Just the history of the Lucases and Asmussen go way back, but I mean, just even for me personally, being able to be around his operation and learn from him and his experiences. I mean, my first race I ever won at Oaklawn was on Papa Rocket for him.
Wow, and I did not know that.
Just like you said, winning my first graded stake on Lemon Muffin and the Honeybee, riding the Derby and the Oaks, it's just opportunities that are, you know, blow your mind.
For sure.
I can't. I'm eternally grateful for the opportunities he gave me, and I don't think I'll ever really think back and not really appreciate everything he did for me.
And he's done for the whole sport, obviously, a legendary figure in the game. Keith, thanks for taking the time. We're excited to see you back on horses, first and foremost. I know you got a lot of fans out there, so we'll be seeing you in the Oaklawn Winners Circle soon, 100%, and looking forward to that, Keith.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Matt.
We'll be right back to discuss stakes recaps and other things from this past week. Don't go away. That was Keith James Asmussen, ladies and gentlemen. He's a great guy, a really solid rider. He's gotten better and better each and every year that I've seen him riding, and we're excited to have him back as part of the Oaklawn Jockey Colony when live racing resumes on Friday, January 30th. We'll talk about that weekend at the end of the show, but for now, we've got stakes recaps, rising stars, even a horse to watch out for that hasn't won a race that I think can do some good work down the road. So let's get to the coverage here. We start with our stakes recaps. 4 racing days this past week to end our holiday meeting, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and on Thursday our stake went to Nerazzurri for trainer Mark Cassie. Here's the replay coming up right now. Nerazzurri, she earned a 92 buyer for this win in the Oaklawn Sports Overnight Stakes. This race was for 4-year-old fillies going 2 turns, and the track profile really played for speed the entire week of racing, and Nerazzurri was able to get a clear lead. I mentioned it in the race call. Basically, Christian Torres and Nerazzurri went to the lead and stole it there on the lead. She got a pretty easy time of it and kicked on and won for fun after a nice starter allowance win sprinting just a couple weeks prior. One horse in there that disappointed was Lemon Zest, who had run 3rd in the Grade 2 Mother Goose over in New York. Came here for trainer Brad Cox to try to get a stakes win. That was not the case. I thought the tactics were a bit peculiar in this spot because she's one that's always shown speed, and the track, of course, was playing for speed, and there wasn't an abundance of pace. And Flavien Prat, who flew in just to ride this one filly on Thursday, he took her back towards the back of the field, something we had never seen from her, and in this paceless race, she really never stood a chance, given the track profile, given the fact that she likes to be close to the pace. So that was a little bit of a head scratcher. I think she's decent. I don't think she's a world beater by any means. I don't think she's grade 1 caliber by any means. But at the same time, I think she was compromised probably by those tactics. Whether it was Flavien's idea, Brad Cox asked Flavien to rate the horse, whatever it may have been. Maybe she herself just wasn't getting into the race early, wasn't getting into the bridle, and Flavien Prat just decided to let her get in a good rhythm. Whatever it may have been, we're not pointing fingers, but those tactics didn't help her in the race by any intents and purposes. I do think, though, Nerazzurri ran a top-class race, and Lemon Zest would have had to run pretty darn well to beat her that afternoon. Friday afternoon, we mentioned it with Keith, the Coach Overnight Stakes, named after the late, great Dwayne Lucas, was our feature race on Friday afternoon. Tap into this, getting the job done from off the pace for Team Asmussen and Joel Rosario here. Here's the replay. This runner was one of a few horses, not many, who actually came from off the pace and won down the lane, and ran down First Division, who had come off an allowance win against First Level Company just a couple weeks prior against older foes. Tap into this in this win in the Coach Overnight Stakes, earned a 96 buyer. This race was restricted for 3-year-olds. The pace was very solid in this race on the lead, so that did help tap into this, close into this. Here's a horse here that's gotten better with time. He can go one turn. He's not really a sprinter. He's not really a 6-furlong horse, but he can certainly run well at 7 furlongs. We've seen it from him. We've seen him do well at the 1-turn mile. Getting into the 2 turns for him and showing that he still has that very good form going from the 1-turn mile, for example, the 2 turns going a mile and a 16th. That's a big plus as he heads into his 4-year-old season for Team Asmussen. Tap into this. I thought ran an extremely respectable race, especially given the track profile. Saturday afternoon was not only a very big day for us, it probably was the biggest day of the holiday meet. It was Smarty Jones Stakes Day, 11 races this past Saturday, and 3 of them were stakes. We're going to start with the first one, race 4, the Renaissance Stakes, and there was a real head-to-head battle on paper. Dirty Rich, who won the Advent Stakes, in against Obliteration, who won the Sanford Stakes, a grade 3 at Saratoga over the summer. Very well-meant horse. Has always been a talented horse and was most recently on the turf, running 4th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. They clashed, Obliteration making his first start as a 3-year-old, and he did just that, obliterating the competition for Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario aboard. Let's take a look at this win here. This was a big effort from him. Earned a 90 buyer for this 7.5 length win. I mean, this horse couldn't have done it more impressively, in my opinion. Geared down in the end, showed a nice kick. He was off the pace early in a good stalking position. Joel Rosario put him up towards the leaders around the far turn. He knew he had a lot of horse and made a little bit of an early move into the far turn to get up there with Dirty Rich. Then he just blew by him down the lane, and that was that. He looked like he was in another class compared to the others. Steve Asmussen relaying that he could run in the 1-turn mile Saudi Derby, which is a lot of money over in Saudi Arabia, I believe in late February. So we're excited to see Obliteration get back to the races next time he does. It may be not even here in the States, it may be overseas, but Obliteration is a quality horse, and at the very least, we know he is a very fast 1-turn horse. It'll be interesting if they ever stretch him out. He's got some pedigree to stretch out, but he certainly also looks like a horse that that one turn at the moment is just perfect for him. Later on in the program, one race before the Smarty Jones, Bourbon Bash for Team Asmussen. This was impressive right here. Let's take a look at this replay here for the Commodore Overnight Stakes. What was most impressive about this wasn't necessarily what he did on the track. It was the fact of the story that he hadn't been to the races in almost 20 months. And he was able to run like this off the layoff. Got a 95 buyer for this 2 1/4 length win. He went off at 10-1. He had a blazing fast work a couple of weeks before this race in 58 seconds flat, which you don't see that type of time that often anywhere. But you certainly don't see it from the Steve Asmussen barn. Steve will let them roll in the mornings if they're naturally doing it on their own, but even that's pretty fast for a Steve Asmussen trainee. He's the type of trainer, a lot of times you will see him going 5 furlongs in 101, 102, sometimes a minute and change, but you almost never see his horses go 58 flat for the bullet. So obviously he ran like he worked. I would imagine that was a very good work. I had heard from numerous folks after this race that clockers and people that had watched this horse work that 58 said he was working very, very strongly. So Bourbon Bash, back to the races, making a statement, likely to see him against Stakes Company the way he ran, and not just against restricted Stakes Company like we saw in the Commodore Overnight. He's likely to face tougher graded Stakes Company down the line. Of course, the Smarty Jones was our big race, race number 10. For 3-year-olds, 21 points were given out to the top placers, 10 of those going to the winner, and at the end of the day, strategic risk for Mark Casse getting the job done here with Javier Castellano, who flew in to ride. He was awarded an 87 buyer for this, a 4.5 length win. This horse is a Florida bred and had run 2 turns on the dirt for the first time and showed an explosive kick against Florida breds. He was running against open, so this was a bigger bump up in class for him, but he certainly showed that the class hike was not going to be a problem. What I loved about this race was that he stalked, put himself in a good spot, and then showed that kick. He showed the same kick that we saw at Gulfstream from him in against Florida breds. And the thing about that is sometimes horses at Gulfstream, they run really good races there and they have a hard time duplicating those efforts at other tracks. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but we see it from time to time. This horse clearly was not just a Gulfstream Park specialist. He showed, hey, I can duplicate that track from Florida to other places. And down the road, showing the kick that he showed, that's going to help him. I like seeing horses with a kick. Grinders, they typically run real well. Plotters, they can run well plenty of times, and they're always around, but they don't win that often because sometimes horses that have a kick like Strategic Risk, they're able to kick on again, away from the plotters. In this case, we know Strategic Risk has a kick. He's very push button, and he appears to be getting better with time. He's by Noble Bird out of an Fleet Alex mare. A lot of route dirt pedigree there. So all signs indicate this horse will continue to enjoy distance and could be a decent horse on the Derby trail. The 2 favorites, Strategic Risk went off at 7-2. He was the 3rd choice. The 2 favorites didn't run a step. Universe, he never picked up his feet. I didn't think there were really any excuses for him. He hit the board in the Grade 1 Champagne, was second behind a really nice Brad Cox horse, Further Ado, in the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes Grade 2. But Universe just never picked up his feet. He was racing off the pace over a speed favoring track, so that probably didn't help him. But he really had no excuses to at least run on and get a share here. So that was a bit of a head scratcher from the Kenny McPeak barn. Rancho Santa Fe from the Brad Cox stable, 2 for 2 going into this race. He's a little bit more of a grinder than a horse like a Strategic Risk. You know, this was the same scenario as maybe like a Lemon Zest with Brad Cox earlier in the week. I don't think this horse got a great trip. He was wide on both turns. He was off the pace. He was being held to stay back there when they went 24-2, 49 and change on the lead in this race. A long shot got a clear lead in this race, the Smarty Jones. And Rancho Santa Fe, really with that tactic employed, being off the pace wide, he was never given a shot to be that successful. I think he was 5 or 6 wide turning for home. I mean, this horse just did not have a good trip. I don't think he would have won anyway. I think Strategic Risk is probably a horse that has more of a kick, and he's probably a little bit faster than Rancho Santa Fe on his best day, in my opinion. However, Rancho Santa Fe was not given a chance to show his best. It'll be interesting where they spot Rancho Santa Fe. I thought tactically, he could have been placed in a better spot. He should have been a lot closer to the pace. Finally, on Sunday, the Mockingbird Stakes for 3-year-old fillies. Back to the sprint game we go. We saw Kelsey Haar and Robert Klein get the job done with a 15-1 long shot here in Grace is Free. Earned a 78 buyer for this win. Grace is Free broke her maiden at Canterbury and then ran fourth before this race here to Counting Stars in the Astral Spa Overnight Stakes. Of course, Counting Stars came right back to win the Year's End Stakes, and she's on the Kentucky Oaks Trail now. You just saw it here in the replay. Kelsey made an early move into the forward turn to get out there with the leader and opened up on the forward turn and really just stole the race right here. It was really a good effort, I thought, by Grace is Free because Kelsey made that early move, and this filly just kept going. I don't know who she beat. This wasn't the strongest stakes field by any means. However, you have to give credit where credit's due, and Grace is Free did run a very good race. Clearly, she's a decent sprinter. Didn't run that bad against what I thought was tougher company in the Astral Spa Overnight, really. I thought that was a tougher race. So Grace is Free. I don't think she's going to want to route. I think she's better at one turn, so it'll be interesting to see where they put her next time, but obviously she's a pretty nice filly for the Robert Klein barn. And Robert Klein, Kelsey Haar, husband and wife team, they work really hard every morning. They're here early in the morning, galloping horses. They do everything the old school horseman's way, and they are the nicest people. So it's just fantastic to see Kelsey and Robert get a win in a stake like this, no less. Finally, we don't have a stake to recap in this last part of the segment, but we do have a stakes quality horse, Rivet, who got the job done in race 4 on Friday. This was a dated allowance race. Got the first jump on Tejano Twist with Luis Saez, who was aboard. Got an 86 buyer for this. Steve Asmussen, the winning trainer of Rivet. Both him and Tejano Twist, they're likely to be entered in the King Cotton Stakes in early February. Rivet, he's earned $1.1 million. Tejano Twist, he's banked $1.6 million. That's a hell of an allowance race if you ask me. And again, this was clearly a setup race to prep for the King Cotton after the break as we go into the Classic meet. I thought Rivet ran very, very well. He's going to go up against a little bit steeper company next time, like a Roll On Big Joe. But Rivet, he's just a really cool old pro, knows his job, runs hard every time, and I thought got a really good ride by Luis Saez. The early leader was really intent on getting the lead after Rivet had gone head-and-head with that horse, and Luis Saez decided to take this horse back, give him a breather, and then get the first jump on Tejano Twist, who we all know has that devastating closing kick down the stretch. It's time for our Rising Stars segment. We've got 3 horses to discuss. Let's talk about one of the biggest performances of the racing week last week, and it wasn't in a stake. It was with Stiglitz in a first level allowance. Here's the replay here. He got a 107 buyer for this. Not a surprise, though. He won by 6.5 lengths. He went 108 and 4, 108.85 seconds for 6 furlongs. That's blazing fast time. That's stakes quality time. This horse is going in the right direction and very quickly. He got a 95 buyer for a length loss at the same level at Churchill Downs in November. His 2-back race now. This horse by Spun to Run, he's a newly turned 4-year-old. His last 3 races, for whatever reason, he has stepped it up, and he is looking like a stakes quality individual. This horse showed speed, kept going. Track profile did help him a little bit. However, this horse just blew the doors off his competition, and to go that fast, that was impressive, especially given the fact that we're not seeing times like that, 108 and 4 over this track. That was a huge effort from Stiglitz for Phil D'Amato. So we're going to be seeing him down the road against tougher company, no doubt about that. The last race of the holiday meeting was won by a pretty nice up-and-comer, El Prestigio, a horse from the Steve Asmussen barn here, who actually took a long time to break his maiden. He run 6 times before he finally broke his maiden, and 4 of those races resulted in runner-up finishes. But in this first level allowance here, he was geared down in the end, won by 6, and got a 91 buyer for this. Has won 2 of his last 3 races, including that maiden breaker. So just like Stiglitz, one that maybe took a little while to figure things out, once the light bulb turned on, this horse has really started to figure things out, and he is one that continues to go in an upward trajectory for Team Asmussen. That's El Prestigio. Be interesting to see. I think they'll probably run him in a second level allowance. That'd be my guess. Maybe go through conditions with him versus going right to the stakes camp. But I do think El Prestigio is one that is getting good right now and getting good at a pretty decent clip. Finally, I think this was one of the more insane performances and more insane storylines of this holiday beat with Triple Up. Friday's 10th race here for Arkansas bred older maidens. This horse was a 4-year-old. Now he's a 4-year-old, I should say, in 2026. This horse by Upstart was making his first start, so it took him a while to get to the races. He was wrapped up here in the final 16th of a mile by the apprentice jockey Amir Mendoza, won by 5.5 lengths, got a 76 buyer, which is actually pretty solid for a maiden special weight Arkansas bred winner against older. The craziest thing about this was not just the performance, but when you look at his past performances, he'd never run before. He was 30-1 on the morning line for trainer Shea Stewart. Went off at 9-2, this horse. So people knew something. Somebody or multiple people knew this horse could run. He only had 3 workouts on the page. He went 102 out of the gate. I think there was another solo drill not out of the gate going 102. He might have gone 3 furlongs in his first work and 38 and change, something slow. I mean, there wasn't any time on the page. He didn't have a huge foundation in works. And this horse just absolutely ran away from the competition. It was an insane effort. He looked really good doing it. The question is, can he duplicate these races? Can they keep him sound? Like I said, it's taken him a while to get to the races. But this was a very impressive win. And just the fact that Amir Mendoza, I said it in the race call, he just sat there in the final 16th and just let this horse coast in. This horse could have gone faster than what he did. So obviously a nice Arkansas bred here, Triple Up, and a job well done by Shea Stewart to get this horse fit and ready and to be patient with this horse. Good showing of horsemanship there, and obviously a horse that has plenty of ability in the Arkansas bred stakes ranks. One more segment we're going to get to here. I'm going to call this the Don't Give Up On segment. Don't give up on this horse. He's a maiden, but he can run. His name is Draonus. He ran in race 7 on Friday. This horse has been well thought of since he was a baby. He was purchased for $1.7 million, a son of Gun Runner by Winchell Thoroughbreds as a youngster. And here he is. You can see him here in this race. He stalked the pace early, got a perfect trip under Joel Rosario. Into the far turn, he made a move to the front. And this horse made the lead. As soon as he made the lead, though, especially when Joel asked him turning for home, Joel Rosario, you can see here his ears are up. He starts to lose focus. He sort of stops. He's looking for competition. He's goofing around, sort of not staying to the task. And he ends up getting run down late by Spirit of Royal. In my opinion, Draonus out of this race, he's the one I want to play down the road. He's the one I consider the best horse in the race in terms of raw ability. Spirit of Royal beat him. But Spirit of Royal was all out to do it. This horse was just goofing around, Draonus. Once he finds the whole game out, once he figures it out, once he puts his mind on running, he's going to be better. And I think if he had his mind on running, he would have won this race, and he would have won it pretty easily. I think Draonus is one you want to keep an eye out for, not because of his purchase price, but the fact that this horse, like I said, ran a pretty respectable second for literally not trying and goofing around and sort of waiting for company. So it'll be interesting what Steve Asmussen does with this horse next time, if he puts blinkers on him maybe, or maybe if he just keeps things the way they are and just hopes that maybe as time goes on with more experience, this horse can wake up like a couple other Steve Asmussen horses we've seen over the years, including an El Prestigio for a horse like him that's had some ability but took him a while to get going. That's Draonus from race 7 on Friday, running second in that main special weight. Look out for him. Don't sleep on him, and don't give up on Draonus. Hey, before we go, we got a couple other things to talk about here just to wrap up. Live racing, we're going to have to wait a few weeks until we come back to it. For the first time ever, we had that holiday meeting, which turned out to be a great success. Our handle was up over 27%. We had over 100,000 people. I think it was 104,000 and change attendees for the 13 days here at Oaklawn that we ran. We will return on Friday, January 30th for more live racing, and we get right back to a big week, Southwest week. On Saturday is the Southwest Stakes, Saturday, January 31st. We're also going to have an on-track handicapping tournament here on Saturday and Sunday of Southwest. The Southwest Showdown will be on Saturday, January 31st. Then Sunday, February 1st, we're going to have the Oaklawn Horse Players Championship. Speaking to Zach Gillum, who we interviewed for the first week here on Out of the Starting Gate with Matt Dinerman, Zach relayed to me that there are a couple of ADWs, for example, Twin Spires, Express Bet. Those are two that I know they've confirmed to be able to play these contests on ADW websites. So that means that you have the chance to be able to play these contests without having to be on track, which for a while we thought you'd have to be on track to do that. That is not the case. You want to go to oaklawn.com. If you're, of course, in the area, you can play here on track. It's going to be a really good contest for the horse players who like to play these contests. There are seats given out to the BCBC, the NHC Championship, good cash winnings as well for those who do well in this. Again, Saturday, January 30th, the Southwest Showdown. Sunday, February 1st, Oaklawn Horse Players Championship Challenge. They're two separate contests, both on Southwest weekend, and we're looking forward to it for our contest players. Again, go to oaklawn.com for more information on those contests. Folks, we're going to take a break here from Out of the Starting Gate. We'll be back on Southwest Week for another edition of Out of the Starting Gate with Matt Dinerman. But for now, until then, be well, enjoy your break. We'll be back here before you know it for Southwest Week here at Oaklawn. Have a good one.